watch. I don't want to talk too much Giannis because nothing happened yet. But how are things with you, man?
I'm doing good. I can't complain. This deadline has been a little crazier than others. I feel like there's been a lot more activity in like the multiple days leading up to the deadline, whereas typically every year, like you'll have like a deal that happens like maybe a month before, and then maybe one that happens a week before, and then everything else happens in like the day before. You know what I mean? And it's been like just a steady week of just crazy stuff happening one after another. I don't know if you saw the report just came down. They're keeping Giannis. The Giannis trade ain't happening.
Okay,
I just don't understand. I don't get it.
Well, it's good for the pod because now we know what's happening. So
yeah, exactly.
It won't blow up the pod. I always got my producer cap on, Jason.
Exactly. I can't believe it. I don't understand why Giannis is okay with it. Like that's the guy I keep turning to. Like I can totally see how from Milwaukee's perspective keeping him sounds great because right now he's dealing with these calf injuries, and more or less as you go into this offseason, there are just several other teams that could enter the equation. Like, for instance, the Lakers can suddenly make a much larger offer for Giannis when you get to this offseason. You never know if like another team could end up entering the conversation that we don't expect. Like, what if Oklahoma City loses in the second round and like J-Dub suffers another hamstring injury and they're like, man, like let's move all these picks that we have and, you know, J-Dub and another salary for Giannis, right? Or like, what if San Antonio ends up looking like they're not even close? Their guards are just years away from being ready for this environment. They just jump in and drop all the picks, right? Like this summer could definitely end up being a better situation for Milwaukee. That I understand. What I don't understand is why Giannis wants to waste his year 31, like his 31-year-old season. Like, I just can't believe he didn't step up and go like, I want to play serious basketball this year because I don't know how much serious basketball I have left. That's the thing that I was surprised by.
He cares too much about the optics.
Yeah, I don't understand. Like, you know what the situation is starting to remind me of a little bit is the Damian Lillard situation.
Yeah.
Where like for years and years, it's like, I'm loyal. I don't want to ring chase and blah, 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 blah. And so much of that stems from what happened with Kevin Durant, which I understand, but it's like, how about just don't join a 73-win team and then you won't have a problem. You know what I mean? Like that, like Kevin made a very different mistake than what a lot of these other players think they're making if they go try to be on a better roster. And then what ended up happening is Dame finally, after years, relents and requests a trade. And it's too late, and his body breaks down. Whereas, like, he wasted a couple of years of, like, that Dame that got into that shooting contest with the Nuggets in that first-round series, that guy could have won a championship on a different roster, right? But, like, the older Dame that was starting to fall apart physically wasn't enough. And so I think that situation is what scares me because Giannis is not Kevin Durant and Steph to have a jump shot to rely on as he gets older. He's not LeBron, who's a combination of skill with his size that has allowed him to stay impactful late into his career. Like as Giannis ages, he is more dependent on his athleticism than any superstar in the league by a wide margin. And so that's what concerns me with him. I don't think he's got as long of a window to be a superstar as some of these other guys. And so I'm just nervous that he's sacrificing some very important years.
It's interesting you said that about the athleticism. I would also say that to me, which sounds kind of crazy, I think Giannis improved. He got better. The passing is better. The way he reads the game. I think the jump shot got a little better, even though he's not a three-point shooter. When I watch him play, this is actually his best version as a basketball player, even though the team around him isn't great.
I agree. The playmaking stuff in particular has been super impressive. I really started to get on board with this idea at the tail end of last regular season when they were basically running him as a point guard and running a ton of inverted screens with like Gary Trent and AJ Green and just basically allowing him to attack the rim and pass out to shooters. And that worked to a great deal. The difference is that concept is predicated on his ability to compromise the defense, which is predicated on his ability to use his athleticism to pressure the rim. He has never built out a reliable left shoulder hook. He kind of showed a reliable mid-range jump shot last year, but that has completely fallen off of a cliff this season. He'll have a year where he shoots the ball okay from 3 on extremely low volume, but it's not anything substantial. The bottom line is he can't shoot threes, he can't shoot mid-range jump shots, he can't shoot left shoulder hooks or little short shots around the paint. So as he gets older and his body starts to fail him, he's going to have to find other ways to attract the defense, which is going to depend on his ability to hit shots more than his ability to just drive past people or go through people. And so I'm a little worried again, like, I would look at Giannis as a guy that's probably going to start tailing off pretty significantly around like 35, And so the point is he's got a pretty short window here to really try to go win championships. And I'm just surprised he's willing to trick off of a season on this terrible Bucks roster.
He has one of the greatest work ethics ever. I would also say that one thing, you know this well, you could actually get more skillful with age, even when the athleticism declines. We saw this with LeBron. But for Giannis, it's about getting the right information and working with the right people. It's not the work ethic with him. So he can become more skillful with time.
You just mean like you think he's got such mechanical issues with
his
100%.
Shot? Like, I know people personally. They've been on the show. I'm not going to say his name. A good friend of mine who works in the NBA. Like, if he worked with Giannis, man, I just know it. It would change things for him,
Yeah, I hear you. My thing is, like, generally speaking, like when you look at the other guys who have struggled with jump shooting early, they started to show signs a lot sooner. Like Jimmy Butler showed the jump shot a lot earlier. LeBron showed the jump shot a lot earlier. Kawhi early on was like, oh my gosh, this guy is starting to put together a real jump shot. The Giannis piece, there hasn't even been a hint of it. And I don't count one season. Like, you have a great mid-range jump shooting season, that's great, but like he's in his early 30s and it's the only time. So like, I'm skeptical. I view Giannis as a legit top tier superstar, but I just think it's like a 4 or 5 more years, and I'm just surprised that he's willing to waste one again. Like they've quit on their coach. They don't have any talent. It's a brutal situation over there in Milwaukee.
Yeah. All right, enough Giannis. The Giannis chapter has closed with me and you today. No more Giannis. But a year ago, the Mavericks made the worst trade in the history of sports. Did it get even worse with this Anthony Davis trade?
I thought it was hilarious the way that Shams framed that tweet. And I'm running around like a chicken with my head cut off. My sister's getting married on Saturday, and I was taking my wife to the airport. She's actually flying out there early because I have to stay home for trade deadline. And I roll up into the house after I drop her off at the airport, and my producer's texting me like, oh, Anthony Davis just got traded. And we roll up in the studio, and I'm recording, and it's based on this idea that they sent out 2 first-round picks and 3 second-round picks. But then you dig into it, and it's like, okay, it's a 2026 Oklahoma City first, which is going to be pick number 30, and then a 2030 Golden State pick that is probably not going to convey unless they suddenly become a top 10 team in the league 4 years from now, which feels borderline impossible at this point. And as I was kind of looking at that, I'm like, okay, so you're basically trying to frame it as though you got 3 first-round picks for Luka, but what you really got for Luka is 1 first-round pick, an early second-round pick / super late first-round pick, a pick that won't convey, and then a bunch of seconds and Max Christie. And that's just absolutely brutal. And you know what's funny, though? I was talking about this on my show yesterday. I don't care if they would have got 7 first-round picks for Luka Doncic. This is such a stupid idea, this overvaluing of picks. Like, this is what's been frustrating to me about the way that the Warriors have handled the end of Steph's career, or the Lakers have handled the end of LeBron's career, where, like, Rob Pelinka gets thrown this big life raft in the form of Luka. But if you look at the way they managed those 4 years after they won the title, it was this lack of belief in LeBron and AD that caused them to sit on their hands and only make discounted moves on the margins and never actually use their assets to try to go all in with LeBron. Steph, same exact thing. They've got all these first-round picks now, but they've never made the improvements around Steph. And what you don't realize is that a lottery pick is most likely just going to be a really good player. That's it. It's rare for it to be a star. It's extremely rare for it to be a superstar. And it's like once in a generation going to be an all-time great. And so what ends up happening is perfect ends up being the enemy of good, where you're so intently focused on trying to get the next great superstar by one avenue or another, and you fail to realize you've got one right in front of you right now that you can go win with right now. And chances are that pick's just going to be another Brandon Pajemski, or sometimes they're Jalen Hood-Schifino and they're out of the league. You know what I mean? And the idea that these first round picks are just going to be Steph or LeBron is insane. And that, taking it to the Luka situation, I don't care if they would have got 7 first round picks for Luka, because the bottom line is you had Luka and you were competing for a championship. And you were in a multi-year window, at least another 3-4 years from there, where you would have competed for a championship every single year, and you slammed that door shut in one day. And I don't care how many picks you would have got back. But as you dig into it, they didn't get anything back. And that's just super, super disappointing.
Now, with the Anthony Davis trade, did it make the worst trade in the history of sports even worse?
I think so. I mean, I will say this. Anthony Davis's value was in the tank anyway, just because he had been such an injury-prone player over the last 2 years. It's interesting. There was a time there in 2024 where he went toe-to-toe with Jokic in the first round and played I can't remember exactly. I think he played 75 games that season. He just was healthy and looked great and looked like the best version that he had been in the postseason since 2020. And I was like, oh man, this looks like a guy that could theoretically fetch 3-4 first round picks in a trade, kind of like Jaren Jackson just did. But then last year at the tail end of the season, he hurts himself, that groin injury. This season again, the thumb injury, and so Anthony Davis has just kind of reverted back to what he was in that 2023, 2022 range, where he just can't stay on the floor. And so them getting anything for him, I think, was a benefit. There was a version of this trade that could have looked a lot like the Trae Young trade, where it's just basically salary filler going out. And so they're fortunate to get what they got. Let's say it's essentially 4 first-round picks. Let's say it's essentially 4 second-round picks, the 3 seconds plus that OKC first, which is technically a pick in the 30s. We just saw 4 second-round picks get moved for Ayo Dosunmu. So it's not nothing. That's a trove of assets that you could potentially turn into a high-level role player. But them getting anything is probably a benefit, considering that AD had become such a distressed asset.
With that said, I always liked the idea of Trae playing with another star that's a lob threat, with another star that could clean up what Trae does defensively. How do you feel about that fit if AD does hopefully stay healthy?
The fit, I think, is very natural. The fear that you're looking at, if you're trying to play devil's advocate in a negative way, you're looking at what happened with Dame and Giannis, right? You pair a small guard with a big do-everything defensive forward, but then the small guard is just so small and so bad that it just doesn't come together. The main difference between Dame and Trae is I think Trae is a way better passer, a way better passer.
Yeah,
a complete different stratosphere. It's so much so that I even thought Atlanta should consider trading for Giannis at the beginning of the season, as I was talking about this summer. I was like, dude, I know you'd be scared because of what happened with Dame, but I just don't think it's the same. I
like that. I like a Trae Wemby fit. I like a Trae Giannis fit. I even like the Trae AD fit. So I'm totally with you with
exactly.
Where you're going. Yeah.
Trae Young is such a gifted passer to roll men in pick and roll and cutters along the baseline that I think he's going to be able to set Anthony Davis up with a ton of really good looks. Also, Trae's biggest weakness is beating switches. That's the thing that he can't do. So you give him Anthony Davis, a guy who's very capable of beating the opposite end of a switch. I think that pairing him with Alex Sarr is a ton of fun on defense. I think the two of them could be devastating together. Add Bilal Coulibaly to that. There's a force multiplying effect there. I was talking about this with the Jazz, with the move that they ended up making for Jaren Jackson, but I really like Keontae George a lot. And Keontae George and Svi Mykhailiuk are one of the worst defensive backcourts in the NBA, and that's why the Jazz have been far and away the worst defense in the NBA this season, with the context there being Walker Kessler being out. But I like the idea of Keontae George and Svi Mykhailiuk a little bit better when you've got 3 7-footers behind him. Similarly, I like the idea of a Trae Young, Trae Johnson backcourt better if I've got Bilal Coulibaly, Alex Sarr, and Anthony Davis behind him. So it's going to just be fun. And most importantly, I think, and I talked about this on my show this morning, I think that there's value in putting Alex Sarr and Trae Johnson and Bilal Coulibaly and Keyshawn George and all these guys into high leverage games.
Yeah,
And
we've seen this a bunch of times before in the NBA. It's definitely good for the yeah.
Well, the Wizards are playing a different kind of NBA basketball than, say, the Thunder are playing right now.
Oh, you think?
And, yeah, no shit. Right? but I mean in the way that their opponents are playing them.
Right.
Like, you're on a road trip and you roll up in OKC, you're giving your best shot in that game. OKC comes to your town, you're giving your best shot in that game because OKC's the measuring stick. Washington is the game where you're looking at it and it's like, okay, it's February 2nd and we're playing our 7th game in the last 14 nights. And I'm really thinking about getting home from this road trip and being with my family again. Let's just get through this game. You know what I mean? And so those guys, all those young players are experiencing a different kind of NBA basketball every night in the regular season. So every regular season game will be more intense because guess what? If you don't bring your A game against Trae Young and Anthony Davis, you're going to get beat. You're going to get better punches from every opponent during the regular season, and then you're going to get them probably at least a first-round series, maybe a second-round series, depending on how good this all comes together. You're going to have a version of this where these guys are going to get to play in a lot of high-leverage games, which I just think is going to be really good for their development.
Former scoring champ, former assist champ, former MVP is heading to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Were you surprised when this went down?
I was, mainly from the Clippers side of it. Like, the Cavs turning, like, I'm a big believer in Darius Garland when he's healthy. I think he's awesome. He just, dribble penetration is the best pathway to generate quality shots in the half court. When you can get deep paint touches consistently, helpers just really react, and that just creates the openings that spark modern NBA driving kick offense, right?
Yeah,
But Darius Garland, when he's healthy, he can gash defenses so fast that teams can overreact to his drives and sometimes send 3-4 bodies at him, and the Cavs just get awesome shots. The trick is when Darius is less than 100% physically and his speed drops off, all of a sudden he doesn't gash the defense quite the way that he used to, and then all of his flaws start to come to the surface. Like, he struggles to shoot jump shots when he's not at 100%. Like, he struggles to get separation, or he is a very easy target on defense. He's been given up over 120 offensive rating when he's attacked one-on-one this season. So when Darius gets attacked in ISO or in post-up situations, he's given up something like 1.24 points per possession, if I remember correctly, including passes. He's just brutalized when he gets attacked one-on-one. And that's not a big deal when he's the driver of elite offense on the other end of the floor, but when he's struggling, it can be a much more complicated discussion. James Harden is flat out a better basketball player than Darius Garland when he's banged up. He just is.
I mean, James Harden is flat out a better basketball player than like 96-7% of the league, probably 98.
Great point. I mean, in this season, he's averaging 25, 5, and 8 on 60% shooting.
He's playing at an all NBA level this year.
Absolutely. And so, and in addition to that, like, he's James is a bad off-ball defender who can lose cutters and lose crashers and lose shooters and that sort of thing. Although I think Evan Mobley and Jarrett Allen should be able to do a decent job covering for him in that regard. That's the advantage of having two bigs. You always have one by the rim. But James is also a substantially better one-on-one defender, like way better. He's been given up. I don't have the numbers right in front of me because I had him yesterday in my show, but he's guarded something around 100 or so one-on-ones this year, and he's given up like 0.75 points per possession, including passes. He's been very good. Why? Because he's bigger and stronger. When he's on ball defensively, he gets engaged mentally, like he just locks in because he doesn't want to get embarrassed. And he's good with his hands. He's very good at stripping the basketball away from players. So you're getting a much better player on both ends of the floor, as crazy as that sounds, because James Harden's not known as a defensive player. But you're just getting a much better basketball player. So for the Cavs, it makes all the sense in the world. What I don't understand for the Clippers is this is not Steph Curry. This is not a guy who is going to put it together physically and become an all-time great. I think that he could become a perennial all-star still, Garland, if he gets his body right. But I don't think he's that kind of like earth-shattering talent. And you're going to pay him a ton of money over the next 3 seasons. And if that was the issue, why not just pay Harden? Like, I don't understand. Like, I personally would rather pay Harden Garland's contract then pay Garland's contract. And that's the part that I don't understand from the Clippers' perspective. Like, why not just keep James? Like that's the thing I don't understand.
The crazy thing in all of it is OKC looking a little vulnerable. Nuggets have been injured. Lakers don't look like a legit title contender. The Clippers could have won the championship with James Harden.
Yeah, it would have been a long shot. I mean, so theoretically, their best case scenario would be to get the 8th seed, so they'd have to beat Golden State the rest of the season. They'd have to win a road play-in game either in Phoenix, Minnesota, Houston, or LA. Then they'd have to win a road playoff series against San Antonio. Then they'd have to win a road playoff series against Denver. Then they'd have to win a road playoff series against Oklahoma City before beating whoever comes out of the East. So it was a long shot under any circumstances, but they look really good. They look really good.
Yeah, Kawhi has been looking like Toronto Raptors. Kawhi averaging 30 a game over a long stretch on 50, 40, 90.
You're right. No, it's not. I'm with you. Like, I think I'm not as high on the Clippers as their record has looked in the last couple months, because there is definitely an opportunity in the middle of the season to rack up wins because there's just so much malaise and so many injuries that are going around. I'm always a little skeptical of that sort of thing. And we've seen the Clippers, by the way, multiple times in recent seasons go on big midseason runs and then flame out in the postseason, either because of injury or last season because Kawhi wasn't able to reach that level when he got into the postseason. But my point is like the Clippers had a shot and they just punted it because I don't think they have any shot at all with Garland. Yeah.
That's crazy to me. It's like you have a shot, you know?
Yeah, no, I'm with you. It was bizarre, man.
Okay, how about this?
Great for Cleveland because I like Keon Ellis and Dennis Schroeder too. Like Cleveland's just gotten much better overnight.
So wait, do you think James Harden still has a chance to win a championship this year? And how do you feel about the fit with Donovan and James being two ball dominant players, both top 20 in usage?
I don't think that's a problem at all. In the modern NBA, I think you can have two of those guys. I think it gets tricky when you get three of them. If you get three of them, one of them better be an awesome off-ball scorer. So, for instance, like Kevin Durant can be a third star in any system because he's capable of just playing off the ball and still giving you 25 points a game. But I think your turn, my turn, there's just plenty of opportunity over a 48-minute NBA game. So, like, for instance, you come out to start, you need a second side creator. Let's say Donovan Mitchell in the starting unit gets 2/3 of the reps and Harden gets 1/3 of the reps, you know, then James Harden leaves the floor and Mitchell gets all the reps. And then Mitchell leaves the floor and Harden gets all the reps, right? And then honestly, when it comes to big playoff basketball, I don't want James to be my number one. I want him to be my number two, right? So like, as you look at the situation, their offense is going to look different. Garland brought a certain pace. It's going to be a challenge for Kenny Atkinson to continue to push for their defense to transition sequences because James Harden can be a little bit of a pace strangler sometimes. Mm-hmm. But in the half court, I think it's going to make a lot of sense. One, you've got tons of shooting, and you've got two excellent pick and roll partners in Allen and Mobley. I think they're going to shift to more of a spread pick and roll style offense, more of a your turn, my turn, slower pace half court offense. But you've got two dudes who are awesome at that. So it's going to give you a steady diet for 48 minutes of like every single time down the floor, you're guarding either Donovan Mitchell or James Harden in pick and roll. And that's just going to be really difficult to handle. And then again, you add the fact that James is an easier, a harder, target on defense because he's bigger, more physical, more active with his hands. You add in the fact that like, look at the Eastern Conference, Jalen Brunson and Deuce McBride, you know, Emmanuel Quickley and Jamal Shed, Tyrese Maxey and VJ Edgecombe. Like, there's all of these small, fast guards in the Eastern Conference. So, like, having Dennis Schroeder and Keon Ellis, who both of them suck at guarding bigger wings because they're too small, but both of them are awesome at guarding small, quick guards. So now the Cavs have 48 minutes of defense to throw at the Jalen Brunson, Tyrese Maxey, Emmanuel Quickley types. And they have 48 minutes of awesome pick and roll ball handling. So, like, I mean, to me, I'm going to let the dust settle on this deadline before I make any sort of big picture predictions. But to me, the Cavs are looking like the best team in the East right now.
So you would predict the Cavs to win the East at this point?
Yeah, I really like the Pistons. I absolutely view them as a championship contender.
They added shooting. They added shooting with with Kevin
So
Huerter?
they added some shooting.
Herter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Herter's been good at left corner threes, and that's about it this season. But we'll see. Maybe he gets some better shots from Cade Cunningham, and that helps. But here's the thing with the Pistons. Generally speaking, in NBA history, when we see the young team that gets the 1 seed for the first time, they don't win. They just don't, typically. There's a big, scary hallmark, too, in their metrics, which is that they're a mediocre half-court offense, which is scary. I am a big believer in the Pistons in the big picture. I think Cade is awesome. I think they're massively physically imposing on both the perimeter and on the interior. They have that defense rebounding element that gives them a really high floor. Wouldn't be surprised if they made the conference finals and like kept things kind of interesting and had a shot. I also wouldn't be surprised if they won the East. But like generally speaking, that young team is like still about a year away. And that Cavs team is going to have a lot of vets, a lot of dudes who are just a little bit more prepped for big game basketball. So like I would give the Cavs a slight edge over the Pistons, just kind of first impression.
No matter how good you are, you always want to get better. The Knicks have won 8 in a row. Do you feel like they could have done a better job during this trade deadline? Because as of right now, it is 12:34, and we have 2.5 hours. But really, the only move has been Yabusele for Dalen Terry. How do you feel about that move, and how do you feel about the Knicks in general?
Not a big Dalen Terry guy. I would imagine he's not going to play a ton. I think that was more of like a salary, a flexibility type of move. But, they were somewhat limited in what they were going to be able to do at this deadline anyway. They had already added quite a bit of depth, especially at guard, over the offseason. I actually like this Knicks team a lot compared to some of the other Knicks teams over the years. I just think you've got better versions of all your key role players. Like the main thing is Josh Hart, Mikal Bridges, and OG Anunoby are all way better than they were last year in different ways. And one of the things that I think is important about this Knicks team is like because they have these two defensive targets in Brunson and Towns, it requires those three guys, Hart, Bridges, and Anunoby, to be like at 100 miles an hour flying around on defense covering for them. So when they have stretches where they let go of the rope a little bit defensively, like they did last month, they can look terrible, right? But when they ratchet it up like they have over the last couple of weeks, they can still reach a really high level defensively, and they've been awesome on defense over the course of the last couple of weeks. And like even in that Nuggets game last night, I'm sitting there like, man, they're doing a number on Mitchell Robinson and Jamal Murray, just making life really difficult. And one of the big swings in that game was like Brunson was able to keep getting to the rim. He kept like beating Christian Brown off the dribble and getting all the way to the rim.
Yeah.
They were forcing Murray and Jokic only into jumpers, and Jokic couldn't make a three, and Murray was hitting a handful of mid-rangers to keep things close. But like, I was really impressed by New York's defense in that game. And so I'm generally just really high on the Knicks. I think they're right up there with the Pistons and the Cavs at the top of the conference. They weren't really in a position where they had many options available to them in terms of being aggressive in the trade market. They really have no choice but to just give it a go with this group.
This just came to my head right now, but I think the best thing the Knicks did was pay OG, because the same thing happened with Aaron Gordon. You're not trying to get that next contract. You don't mind fitting into a role, and you could be a superstar in your role.
Yeah, absolutely. I was talking about this with the Warriors earlier today. Like, they passed on Pascal Siakam, and they passed on OG Anunoby, and they passed on Cam Johnson, and they passed on Michael Porter Jr. because they were targeting Giannis, and it's just part of that superstar-itis that all these front offices have. And do you think the Knicks or the Pacers have ever regretted going after OG or Pascal? Hell no.
And paying these guys. Like, the Nuggets paid Aaron Gordon. The Knicks paid OG like a star.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the thing that's really dumb about it, too, is like if the Knicks wanted to turn around and trade OG, they could get they'd probably get 2 firsts back for him.
I think they could have got Giannis in a 3-team deal. I mean, it would have been complicated, but they could have got it. They don't want to let OG go, though, at all.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
And same thing goes for Siakam. If the Pacers were like, oh, like, you know what? Never mind. Let's trade Siakam. They could get multiple firsts for him. So, like, the point is like so many people get hung up on, we were just talking about it earlier, the value of the first-round pick, even though most of those first-round picks don't turn into anything. And when you trade first-round picks for a good player in their 20s, you can always trade the good player in their 20s for first-round picks. It's not losing assets; it's converting assets into something different. You know what I mean? And yeah, I'm with you. Like literally, no one's ever watched the Knicks and thought they lost because of OG. They've thought they lost because of Cat. No one's ever watched the Pacers and thought they lost because of Pascal Siakam. And hell, they were literally leading in Game 7 on the road in the NBA Finals. If Tyrese Halliburton doesn't tear his Achilles, they very well could have been hoisting the trophy. And so I just think the teams that have made the moves for those kinds of guys have been really smart.
So you still like Knicks over Cavs? You still like Cavs over the Knicks? That's really interesting to me.
I like them all. I think it's a 3-team race, but like Boston, it just so much depends on whether or not Tatum comes back. If Tatum comes back, I'd put Boston in that group as well.
I want to see the Celtics win a championship as Jaylen Brown being Batman and Jason Tatum. Maybe a little more sliding your feet on defense, maybe a little more catch and shoot threes, and be that second guy. Like can Jason Tatum convert to a Pippen for one season? Like this would be the greatest story in NBA history to me. Greatest story.
I know. I still think that Jason Tatum at his absolute peak is better than Jaylen Brown.
I don't, and I never have, Jason.
But here's the crazy thing. Jaylen Brown has made that a conversation with how much he's improved
100%.
over the years.
Is it really improvement or is it just situation?
I think he's improved a lot as a ball handler over the last couple of years, personally.
And I mean the mid-range shooting.
And the mid-range
long
shooting
twos.
is insane. Oh, yeah. So here's the thing with Tatum that I think goes under the radar. He is an incredible defensive foundation player because of his ability to guard basically 1 through 5 and to be an anchor on the defensive glass. Just an awesome monster defensive rebounder. I think that goes extremely underrated with him and in his game. The jump shot stuff is real, and his inability to kind of like consistently beat people off the dribble or be a great jump shooter is why Jaylen Brown is gaining ground on him, because Jaylen Brown can get wherever he wants on the floor, and he's become a very, very reliable mid-range shooter. But I think that the playmaking, the defensive versatility, and the defensive rebounding with Tatum have always been underrated. That said, to your point, Brown has closed the gap. So on that, we agree.
We always talk about the modern NBA. Don't you think offense flows better with Jaylen Brown than it does Jason Tatum? Like, I would rather play with Jaylen Brown. It's more of a pass it, shoot it, drive it kind of feel than just watching Jason Tatum go ISO. Even though they're all NBA champions, I respect them all. But do you see what I'm saying there? There's an effect when you're playing, when your star is like a Jaylen Brown. Everybody gets in a little bit better of a flow.
So, you know what's so funny? Like, I think Tatum and Brown both play a lot of one-on-one, and Tatum is a guy who passed the ball quite a bit. I'm not necessarily saying you're wrong. I guess what I'm saying is like, so for instance, the Celtics were the best offense in the NBA like 2 weeks ago. I think they've since been eclipsed. Well,
they had long stretches of that, right? Best
offense.
Yeah.
All year long though, they've been right in that conversation, top 1 or 2, 3 offenses in the NBA. I don't think that's just Jaylen Brown getting better. I think some of it is also continuity in Joe Mazzulla's system. They have a lot of guys in that offense that have been around for a long time playing the same style. So, like, I think it's a combination of those factors, but I'm not ready. I'm just not ready to say that, like, addition by subtraction, we got Tatum out of there and now we're better. I'm just not ready to go that far.
Their best version is with Tatum, obviously. I'm just saying, if I'm going to play in the gym, I'd rather play with Jaylen Brown, Jason. I'd rather play with Jaylen Brown.
That's interesting. I think you're probably right. I think Tatum got a little bit too crazy with the ISO step-back threes. The ISO step-back threes were a little much.
Swing the ball quicker, Jason. Let's all play. We're all going to get better, all right?
All right, I'm starting to come around to your idea.
All right. Kuminga to the Hawks. Fact or fiction? Jonathan Kuminga will become an all-star with the Atlanta Hawks.
I don't even understand for a second why Atlanta wanted Kuminga.
Wow.
Like, why in the world, when you've got a power forward who's on the rise to superstardom in Jalen Johnson, would you want to throw a same position, a power forward? They both play the power forward. And there's a big difference in the NBA between power forward and small forward. Small forward is a perimeter player.
I feel like their tendencies are different. I feel like, this sounds crazy, Jalen Johnson is more LeBron and Kuminga is more Tatum.
I think they both play power forward. I think they both are your textbook.
Do you see where I'm going in terms of tendencies, though?
Why? Because Jalen passes the ball more?
And better, yeah.
Yeah. So who's playing the three? Like, that's my thing. So, like, in the modern NBA, you can get away with having a forward who's more of like a matchup attacker, who plays off the ball defensively, that sort of thing. Both Kuminga and Jalen Johnson are bad on-ball defenders who struggle off the ball. They're both bad off-ball defenders. I'm with you that Jalen's a substantially better passer, but they are both matchup attacking forwards that like to have the ball in their hands. And Kuminga is famous for being a pouter. He pouts when he doesn't get his touches.
He's going to have the ball in his hands more now, even with Jalen Johnson, than he did with the Warriors.
Who's he? So were we taking the ball out? And Nickeil Alexander-Walker's been balling. We're taking the ball away from him. We're taking the ball away from Jalen Johnson. Like, I guess Vic Krejci's out of the picture. That'll help a little bit. But, like, I just think Kuminga should have gone to a team that had a gaping hole at the power forward spot, and that would be willing to give him the ball.
I don't think Kuminga looks at himself as a power forward. Do you? Do you think he looks at himself like a power forward?
Probably not, but that's bad self-awareness on his part. He is a power forward.
This is like the AD center thing all over again.
I think if you're going to play the three, you've got to be a knockdown three-point shooter and a top-tier perimeter defender, like an excellent perimeter defender. Well, and Kuminga's just neither of those things.
Kuminga believes he's that, right?
So, you know, it's so funny. Over the years, I've watched him and Moses Moody play a lot of perimeter defense for the Warriors, and it's been fun watching the difference between the two. And Moody's just a substantially better perimeter defender than Kuminga. And the main reason why is he's physical. Moody puts his hands on you. He attacks the basketball. He disrupts your rhythm. He'll pick up a few more fouls, but like when he does that, it actually has a better effect on the offensive player. Kuminga's one of those guys who's there, like he's up on you, but he's really bad at disrupting rhythm. He doesn't like understand the flow of perimeter defense. And so to me, Jonathan Kuminga has to play the forward because he can't guard on the perimeter. But Jalen Johnson presents the exact same problem, and I think they're going to step on each other's toes when they're trying to develop on offense. And so I just, of all the Kuminga teams, I thought this made no sense to me.
Don't you think they could grow together? They're still young. Their team is developing. They're not expected to make a deep playoff run. The aggregate athleticism is really good. Like, I like the idea of Jalen Johnson and Kuminga because they'll have room to grow.
There's some upside. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like there's no upside. It just is going to be very contingent on one of them becoming a small forward.
So it's not.
And I just think both of them are trending towards that other side.
This is not Tatum and LeBron playing together like I'm
actually.
Hyping it up to
Tatum and Brown are a perfect example. So
yes.
Jalen Brown's a three. Like through and through.
Kuminga is kind of like the ideal version of Kuminga is Jalen Brown. I don't think he'll get there. I'm just saying though, right?
Do you remember Jalen Brown guarding Luka in the finals?
Yeah.
Jalen Brown, when he wants to be, is a legitimate top-tier perimeter defender in this league.
100%.
And he's 100%. A way better shooter than Kuminga.
Did he come into the league like that? Way better shooter?
No, but I mean, Kuminga's been around a little while, Combo.
But he's not... First of all, we have seen long stretches of 20-point games. We've seen 30-point games.
As a featured forward. He won't be featured in Atlanta.
It's like
I'm worried about it. I'm worried that Kuminga's agent's going to be doing pods asking for trades this time.
Speaking of pods, here I wanted to ask you about this. Dylan Brooks said to Neon, I believe, that you can't be good at basketball if you're podcasting. Is there any truth to that?
Absolutely not. That's ridiculous. My thing is like if you're playing.
Did you see the clip? Did you see the clip?
I did. If you're playing and you're saying stupid stuff on podcasts, you should be criticized for it. But I don't think that I don't think anybody getting on a Zoom call for 45 minutes twice a week is doing something detrimental to their basketball development.
Jason, we podcast. We know to have a good podcast, it takes a lot of work.
It does, but for the player pods, they're not doing the prep that we're doing.
Well, to have I believe guys like Draymond have like some passion for it, you know,
for sure. But Draymond's not. Maybe when he retires, he'll do this like JJ Redick did. But like,
I understand.
I don't think Draymond's getting on synergy.
I understand he's not creating the thumbnails. I get it, Jason. But
I'm talking about like the film stuff. Like I don't think Draymond Green's gonna sit and like watch a bunch of Charlotte Hornets.
Nah. He's not.
Which he shouldn't. Like, you know why we're doing that? Because our only pathway to success at this point is making this work. You know what I mean? Like, Draymond Green is a 100 millionaire. Okay, like
You just
that
cooked
dude.
you just cooked both of us.
Exactly. And like if Draymond retires and he decides to spend his time grinding Hornets tape, I think that would be a mistake. Like, bro, go retire and be with your family. Like, I promise you, Combo, if you and I could retire as 100 millionaires at age 38, there's no chance in hell
we might be 50 when it happens, but we're gonna get there, Jason Timpf. All right, we're gonna get there. We're on our way. All right.
Bring some positivity. Yeah.
Now, Jason, is Cooper Flagg the greatest teenager in NBA history?
Man. Dude, he's been hooping. Those last 3 games, my goodness. I don't know if I'd put him over like the LeBron, Luka types, but I guess he's 19 still. It's so hard to tell, too, with the difference in eras. So, for instance, like let's say that LeBron in his rookie season was given space and point guard duties or just a ton of on-ball responsibilities instead of running him off of floppy action like he's Ray Allen. I think there's a version of that where they could put up some crazy numbers. Several of the young players in NBA history could have put up massive numbers in that kind of style. I'm not going to say he's the most talented teenager in NBA history, but I will say that I'm buying all the Cooper Flagg stock. I think he's awesome.
I can hear the comment section already. They're going to be screaming, Magic Johnson, championship at 19. Yeah. He's the greatest. I can hear the comment. I can hear you, IG comments.
I think they'd be right, Combo. I think they'd be right.
Yeah, they'd be right. All right, if you were building your NBA franchise, Jason Timpf, who would you build it around? Luka Doncic or SGA?
Shea.
Why so?
Several things. So, one, I just think Shea takes better care of his body and is more likely to stay healthy season in, season out. 2, Shea's a better defensive player. 3, when Luka's at his best and Shea is at his best, Shea is so much less mistake prone. Luka turns the ball over substantially more, misses a lot of step back threes that function as turnovers because there's usually poor floor balance and it leads to long rebounds and that leads to transition sequences going the other way. And then lastly, I would say that I think Shea is a more reliable shot maker in general than Luka. I think Luka is a little bit more dependent on grifting and he's a little bit more dependent on his 3-point shot. Shea, I haven't checked his numbers in a few weeks, but last time I checked, he was shooting something crazy like 59% on 2s inside of 17 feet.
Yeah, man.
That's borderline Jokic level of like reliable short range shot making. So it's close, but I would take Shea.
Yeah, I've always been higher on Luka, but I do have to say SGA improved. Like the passing got better, the 3-point shooting got better, the efficiency overall got better.
Dude, man, he's at like 68% true shooting. That's like better than 2016 Steph. I don't think people realize just how amazing Shea has been this season.
Yeah.
Like he's made it a conversation with Jokic. I still think Jokic is better, but he's made it a conversation with Jokic.
No, come on, Jason. You're getting out of hand now. Are you serious? No.
It's a conversation. I would pick Jokic, but I think it's a conversation now. Like there are people, there's a growing amount of people that think Shea's better. I don't agree with him, but he's made that a conversation. This is by far the most we've ever disagreed on a pod. This has been fun.
We gotta make it compelling, Jason. We gotta make it compelling. All right, but we believe everything we say. For those who just, people like I said, Harden is more unstoppable than Shaq. People think like I don't believe that. Like James Harden averaged 37. Shaq never broke 30. Come on, man. He's the greatest offensive engine. He's a top 5 shooting guard, a top 5 point guard. And if people want to act like I don't believe it, I believe it, bro. I believe what I say. I
believe you believe it.
Okay. Now I forgot what I wanted to add. Oh, here we go. Last thing. I've said this before on shows. Do you believe every generation gets better?
Yeah, absolutely. No question.
So if you believe every generation gets better and Jokic has been clearly the best player in this generation, does that make Jokic the GOAT?
No, because I think this generation of superstars has all been relatively flawed. When you look at the two guys in the GOAT case, they are both otherworldly two-way options. So, for instance, like LeBron James at his peak was nearly as good offensively as Jokic and Steph. So, like, for the record, I do think Jokic is a better offensive player than LeBron ever was. That I agree on. But LeBron was close to that while also being maybe the best defensive player in the league, or certainly a top 3 or 4 defensive player in the league for the majority of his prime. Michael Jordan, same thing. Like, is he as good offensively as the local?
This is good. Is Jokic better on offense than Michael Jordan?
I think Jokic is the best offensive player ever. It's very simple. He's got, if you let him play one-on-one, he's going to get to a shot that he's going to make 2/3 of the time, which is more than Michael Jordan's making a mid-ranger. It's more than LeBron's getting to the rim or making a mid-ranger. He's got the most reliable one-on-one game in the history of the league. If you let him play one-on-one, his score percentage, there's a stat on Synergy that tracks any made basket or made free throw on a foul as a score. So essentially, imagine like if I said, I'm going to dump the ball to Jokic in the post. What is the percentage chance that he's going to score? His score percentage on a per possession basis is basically the highest in the history of the league. So Jokic provides a combination of completely unstoppable one-on-one play, but also the off-ball utility as a spacer, because he's like a legit mid-40s three-point shooter, last night notwithstanding, obviously. But then he's also one of the best passers in the history of the league. And so that just all kind of combines into an offensive player that, like, LeBron has been the passer that Jokic is, but not the reliable single-possession scorer.
Has he, though? Has he?
What do you mean?
Passer? Jokic might be I think Jokic is a better passer.
It's hard to say. They're in the same.
Yeah.
They're in the same
Okay,
stratosphere. But yeah, I would accept that. If you told me Jokic was a better passer, I wouldn't argue with you. But and then MJ's probably a little bit more reliable as a single possession scorer than LeBron, but he's not a playmaker the way that Jokic is, or a single possession scorer the way that Jokic is. But Michael Jordan was one of the very best defensive players in the league when he was playing, and so was LeBron. And so I think any sort of gap that you're talking about offensively between Jokic and those guys is made up for by the fact that LeBron and MJ were such good defensive players. So I think that would be impossible for Jokic to surpass. But the point is, Jokic, his version of best player in the world, is best offensive player ever, which is the evolution of the league in its own way.
So it's over for the Giannis stuff, Jason. It's over, basically. That's what they're saying.
Yeah, I'm bummed. I want to see Giannis play meaningful basketball, and watching him flame out with Gary Trent is not going to be fun.
I wanted to give you a prediction, and it was going to be that Ja Morant and Giannis land with the Miami Heat at the end of this show. So I guess that's not happening.
No, probably not. I want to see what the Bucks do though in terms of something crazy to try to appeal to Giannis to stay. Like maybe they end up making a deal for Ja. Dude, who the hell is going to pay Ja all that money over the next couple of years?
Oh, well, he doesn't have a lot of trade value right now, what I'm hearing.
I know. And so, yeah, I wonder if that's the kind of guy that Milwaukee gets crazy with.
Does Jared McCain have more trade value than Trae Young and Ja Morant?
Apparently. What are they, 3 seconds in a first? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Jared's going to be fun, like, and especially with this Shea abdominal injury, like he's going to get used quite a bit. But OKC really only has one knockdown shooter in Isaiah Joe, so now you're adding a second guy to that mix. If you take out his first handful of games this season where he really struggled, he's been shooting 40% from 3 over his last 31 games. Yeah. So
and he's really good on TikTok. He's really good on TikTok.
Oh yeah, the OKC TikToks are going to be out of control this year.
Thanks for taking the time, Jason. Give me 1 second after this to let this upload, but I appreciate your time. Where can we find you on social media and everywhere else?
So, again, @_JasonLT on Twitter. That's where I'm most active. I basically just tweet out all my show links and announcements there. YouTube Hoops Tonight, wherever you get your podcasts on Hoops Tonight. I'm doing a couple extra shows this year. I go Fridays with Adam Mares at the All-NBA show, and then Lakers Collective twice a week with Trevor Lane and Jovan Buha. I've been enjoying doing that as well.
Trevor just had on the show. Shouts to Trevor.
Yeah, Trevor's awesome. Trevor's a great dude. But yeah, so you can find a couple extra episodes a week through those avenues, but those are the places to find me. And Combo, it's so good to see you, buddy. I always enjoy coming on the show.
Most definitely. Are you doing that? You're doing something in studio now, right? Is that what's going on in
No, so I did the first week, but then we've gone remote every other time. I think part of the reason why is Adam doesn't go into studio on Fridays, so it's fine. But I'm sure there will be a handful of other times where I go in studio with him. It's kind of weird though, because I'm used to staying home, and then when I do have to go in studio, it's like I'm commuting 40 minutes into downtown Denver. So
it's worth it though, bro. It's worth it. Like,
Yeah,
there's nothing
it's a
like
different vibe.
Yeah, it's a different vibe. Yeah, it's worth
Absolutely.
it.
Absolutely. I agree with you.
Thanks, Jason. Talk soon.